Welcome to Raise Them Strong, a parent training program that will teach you how to raise resilient kids. Our expert today is Dr. Brooks Gibbs, who is internationally recognized resilience educator with a PhD in social psychology. In this session, you will discover 3 important questions to ask your child when they complain about their feelings being hurt. Let's watch this training now.
I'd like to tell you a story about Quaden Bales. He's a 9-year-old from Australia, and the kid really struggled because he was picked on relentlessly, day in and day out. I first learned about him when he was on a viral video that his mother recorded. He was crying on camera, and he was basically saying that he was going to kill himself. It was heartbreaking for millions of people to watch. And after watching, I created a reaction video where I gave the mother advice on how to help her child. Watch this video to see what I said.
I'm gonna kill myself.
This is what bullying does. So can you please educate your children, your families, your friends? Because all it takes is for one more instant and you wonder why kids are killing themselves. The whole anti-bullying isn't working.
Okay, she's right. It's not working. Anti-bullying is not working. What does anti-bullying do? Anti-bullying is an attempt to make the world nice, to change the world around kids like Quaden, rather than empowering Quaden to be totally unfazed by the mean words and actions of others. Do you realize the solution here is not to make the world nice, because that's never going to happen. The solution is to empower Quaden to stop suffering. So when people come over and pat him on the head and call him short, he does have the capacity to brush that off, to not give those words any power. This is what counseling focuses on. It's helping Quaden adjust to the harsh reality rather than attempting to change reality. Do you realize the only message Quaden is hearing right now is that reality around you, the people around you, need to change. This has got to stop. And it's not stopping. That's why he's feeling despair, and that's why kids kill themselves. It's heartbreaking.
And it's the constant bullying, the name calling, like obviously pointing out his difference. So now we have a very severely suicidal child who's sick of the bullying that is every single day that he attends school or is in public. It's every day, and we're sick of it.
Okay, I'll tell you why it's every day. It's because every time kids are mean to him, he gets upset. And when he gets upset, there's a payoff. And when there's a payoff, they continue to be mean. That's not just in school. That's going to be in the neighborhood. It's going to be in the mall. If you wonder why it's every single day, it's because the more upset you get, the more fun they have. The more fun they have, the meaner they are. The meaner they are, the more upset you get. So therefore, the solution is to stop getting upset.
I'm gonna kill you, darling.
So that heartbreaking video and that reaction advice that I gave, it actually went viral. The mother saw it. And at first she was struggling because I was basically telling her that the solution to her child's problem was to simply empower her child to be emotionally resilient. That's what the Raise Them Strong program is all about. It's empowering parents to empower their child with the most important skill for happiness, and that's emotional resilience, mental toughness, emotional strength, to be totally unfazed by the mean words and actions of others. This is what the mother had to say after seeing my video.
After the video went viral, people were wanting to help and support any way they could. And I noticed this American guy that was analysing the video.
The mom thinks that by showing this video that empathy is going to sweep across the world, and all of a sudden people are going to be kind.
While at first I felt like my parenting was under attack, I felt my defensive mechanisms were kicking in, I sat back and I processed that and I was like, he's right.
Resilience education for bullying prevention is the best solution for children like Quaden. Let me ask you a couple questions. A or B? Do we want our kids to A, get easily upset by words or insults, or B, be unfazed by words or insults? Well, the answer is B. Yeah, words don't have to have power unless we give them power. Grandmas used to teach sticks and stones will break your bones, but words don't have to hurt me. But today we're teaching kids that sticks and stones may break your bones and words scar for life. And one thing that I love to teach, and we teach it in the Raise Them Strong program, is how emotions work. Dr. Albert Ellis basically taught an ABC theory of emotions. A is the activating event. That's like the mean words that kids were telling Quaden. He's short, he's a shrimp, he's a loser. That's what happened. But right after A, C is triggered, and that's the emotional consequence. It's the bad feelings that kids feel when they're called names, or they're pushed around, or they're excluded from a group. And A and C happen so fast, AC, that we wrongly conclude that they hurt my feelings. They made me angry. They upset me. But what Dr. Albert Ellis so wisely pointed out is that in between A and C is the B, which stands for your belief system. It's actually what you believe about what happened to you that creates the emotional disturbance. You know, a lot of kids don't know this. Parents fail to teach their children just how much power they have in their belief system. It is the belief system that will determine whether or not an emotional consequence happens. Solomon wisely said, above all else, the most important thing is to guard your heart, for out of your heart flows the issues of life. How do we guard our heart? But through our belief system. Now, there are two types of belief system, either rigid and demanding, like you must not say that, you better not say that, you ought not say that. And if you're rigid and demanding in your belief system, you'll have a negative emotional consequence. But what we try to teach at Raise Them Strong is to have a flexible belief system, more indifferent, whatevs, it's all good, ain't no thing. That way, when someone's mean, you don't really care, and therefore you guard your heart from an emotional consequence. Here's another question, A or B. Do we want our kids to explode in anger if they experience a push or a shove that does not cause pain? Or B, ignore a push or a shove that does not cause pain? The answer is B. Maybe you're seeing a pattern here. And by the way, kids are very physical. They often wrestle, and sports could be considered organized aggression if you think about it. If we raise our emotional resilience of the child, their physical resilience also increases. A or B, do we want our kids to demand that everyone likes them and includes them in every social gathering? Or B, be content with a few friends that accept them and not seek the approval of everyone? Social exclusion breaks the heart of so many kids throughout North America. I mean, if you think about it, kids even kill themselves because they weren't invited to a very important party or excluded from a text thread. But exclusion has sociological value to preserve values and resources. Scripture always says that bad company corrupts good morals. It's critical to be able to choose your friends wisely and not be so uptight if someone doesn't invite you to a party. A or B, do we want our kids to A, demand that no one makes fun of their flaws, or B, understand that they are not perfect and learn to take and make a joke about their flaws? And this is speaking of humor. All humor targets a flaw and then exaggerates it for a punchline. And the more exaggerated it is, the better the payoff of the punchline. Now, kids have flaws, they're not perfect, and when other children see it, they'll often joke around. But an emotionally healthy child learns to take and even make a joke about themselves. Quaden struggled with this. When they saw his short stature and they would make a joke about it, he didn't laugh it off. He was heartbroken, and he thought they had no right to make fun of him in that way. And I knew that's what I needed to help him change. A or B, do we want our kids to expect others to solve their social problems for them? Or B, learn to solve their social problems on their own? Obviously, the answer is B. We don't want learned helplessness in our kids. We want to empower them to live an awesome life without the need for authorities to come in and solve their social problems for them. That's what the Raise Them Strong program does. It's the ultimate form of empowerment. It teaches them why they're having a problem and how to solve their own problem. Final question, how is resilience developed? Is it developed by A, by being protected from adversity, or B, by going through adversity? Well, the answer is B. It's all about B. We have to go through adversity to endure hardship like a good soldier. And when you teach kids these skills, it is incredibly empowering for them. I remember my son, when he was 9 years old, I was taking him to camp. And he said, Dad, I'm so excited about camp. I said, why are you so excited about camp? He says, I hope someone bullies me this week. I said, why would you say that? He says, I want to practice my skills. What a completely different mindset. Like a boxer needs a good sparring partner in the ring to get better, sometimes kids need mean people in their life, enemies, to discover where they're weak and to practice their skills. I was so proud of my son, and I helped equip him to deal with difficult people. The Raise Them Strong program is designed to take a child who's as weak as water, I mean, really hypersensitive and vulnerable, and through a very strategic process, build up their emotional resilience in very key areas. Maybe they're struggling with perfectionism. Maybe they're struggling with approval addiction. Maybe they have an irrational fairness construct and always getting upset at others for being unfair. Whatever these particular issues are, the Raise Them Strong program targets and then empowers the child to no longer suffer in that way. When I met Quaden, he was as weak as water. He was really struggling. But through the process, he was able to realize why he's getting upset. And I want to show you the 3-step process I took him through. And we can take your child through the same process as well. After this break, you're going to learn that, and you're going to see him turn his whole life around. Stay tuned.
You can access the Raise Them Strong program right now at raisethemstrong.com. This on-demand program is $24.99 a month and includes Dr. Brooks's video training for parents as well as students. You and your child will learn how to regulate emotions and solve social problems. It's mental health made easy. Used by thousands of parents and schools around the world, the Raise Them Strong program will help you and your child become more resilient. Join Raise Them Strong today and keep your child feeling strong. When our kids suffer, we as parents, we suffer with them. So Brooks, how can you help parents?
In the Raise Them Strong program, we offer 2 options. The first option is an on-demand experience. This is where you have access to a library of on-demand parent trainings. And not just for parents, but we have a portal just for students we call Game Therapy. And you could show these videos to kids, and you could ask thinking questions so they can apply what they learned to their life. And then we have games, over 40 different games that we have designed, digital games that kids can play. And this is such a playful approach to a painful problem.
Now, who's the best student for this? Is it middle schoolers, high schoolers? Who's an ideal candidate?
If you have a second grader who can learn basic math skills, they can learn basic social skills. 3rd grade for sure. But we have students from 2nd all the way through 12th grade take this stuff because you know what? They all have the same social and emotional problems. You know, so the first half of this program, I've talked about the problem and how much kids suffer. But in this next half of today's program, I'm going to talk about the solution. You really want to tune in.
That sounds fantastic. Now let's go back to the program.
So Quaden started this whole journey really weak. And when he was working the Raise Them Strong program, he learned how to become strong. Now, the 3-step process I took him through is so simple. Any parent can do this. We have to figure out what happened specifically without calling it bullying. We have to figure out why do you think they did that? What's the motivation behind the aggression? And if the problem is not solved by step 2, there's a final step 3. How do you feel in helping a child move from mad to sad to meh to glad? I'll explain that and break that down. First, let's talk about what happened. The 4 categories of aggression are: did they say something to you? Did they do something to you? Did they say something about you? Or did they do something without you? This is the only possible categories of aggression. And many young people struggle with the direct aggressions. That's the top 2. They said something to me or they did something to me. Now, when you get older, around middle school, a lot of times kids struggle with the indirect aggressions. They said something about me, like gossip and rumors or online trolling, or they did something without me, exclusion, avoiding, or ignoring. So some kids are resilient in one of these areas, but not all kids are resilient in all of these areas. So step 1 in the Raise Them Strong program is to identify specifically where the child is weak, because that's where we need to do our work. I don't know if you remember having your toddler run down the hallway. He trips and falls, and then he looks at your face to see how hurt he is. He's looking to you to tell him how bad the thing is. And if you get crazy, catastrophize, oh, my baby, then all of a sudden he's going to weep and wail. But if you say, oh, you're okay, and he gets back up and he's okay. Kids look to our faces. They look to our reactions to determine just how painful it is. So parents, you must lower the importance of the offense. Do you know what happens when you do that? When you lower the importance of the offense, their frustration tolerance or their ability to endure hard things rises. It's like a parallel system that creates what I call resilience margin. We want as much resilience margin as possible, but we have to look at the sad situation as not that big of a deal. Now, in the second stage of helping a child with a social problem, we have to figure out why the person did the mean behavior. What was the motivation behind the mean behavior? Now, there's three primary emotions. They're either trying to bother your child, they're trying to joke with your child, or that person's hurting. Something your child did really frustrated them, it seems, and they're retaliating against your child. Now, the motivations behind aggression are really, really powerful because you don't have to be confused by what happened. Simply find out why the child did it. Now, bothering is probably the easiest one to tackle because this is classic sibling rivalry. Usually in the home, you got someone who loves to bother and another who's easily bothered, and in there lies the toxicity. And the more upset this little child gets, the more fun the brother has. And we don't know how to deal with that dynamic. Well, the dumbest thing we could do is try to moralize with the child to stop being mean. That seems rational. That seems great. But what happens with people who love to bother, they're called provocateurs, it's a form of power. And I've discovered that people don't like to give up power once they have it. So a quick solution to this is teach the child to say, so, whatevs. Basically brush it off. Someone calls your son an idiot, so whatever. Sometimes they do dumb things. Hey, we think we're not going to pick you for our team. All right, whatevs. The key is to become indifferent and to not get so upset because that bother, that provocateur, loves to feed on the child's disturbance. Now, if the child is being joked with and he's the butt of the joke, he's the target of all humor, simply teach your child how to take and make a joke about themselves. You know, around our family, we have family roasts, and around the dinner table, I'll have my kids make fun of me, and then they'll make fun of mom, and then we'll ask the kids how they want us to make fun of them. And we practice taking a joke and making a joke about ourselves. Why? Because an emotionally healthy person learns to take and make a joke about themselves. And kids love to joke around with each other. But some children are unfortunately hypersensitive, like Quaden was. But the final thing is hurting. And we need to teach children to discern. If someone's mean to you because they're hurt by you, a simple and humble apology is the greatest possible solution. Are you mad at me? Find out. I'm sorry for that. Those are 10 words. Are you mad at me? I am sorry for that. Teaching your child to apologize when they discern that someone's hurt by something they did or said, that really dissolves the aggression and the problem is solved. See, these are all social skills. You know, we teach kids reading, writing, arithmetic, but we fail to teach them about the fourth and most important R, relationships. How do I deal with people, especially when they're being mean to me? So that's the 3-step process. What happened? Why do you think they did that? Which leads us to, well, how do you feel? In the Raise Them Strong program, I present this wonderful tool I call the Demandometer, and it measures the level of demands you have towards the unwanted behavior. So if you're rigid and demanding that they must not do that, you'll be mad. If you're desiring, please, please, please don't do that, you'll be sad. If you're indifferent, whether or not they do that, you'll be meh, whatevs, it's all good. Or if you actually have thumbs up and say, I hope you do that, you could be glad. Yes, believe it or not, resilient kids could actually hope, like my son did, that someone's mean to them. That's very possible. It's not common, believe me. But kids who go through our Raise Them Strong program can actually end up at the most resilient level, glad when bad things happen. You know, this is what Jesus said. He says, be exceedingly glad when you are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for great is your reward in heaven. Now, I went through this with Quaden. I want you to watch as I teach him. And so when they call you a midget or they swear at you or they make fun of your height, you said, are you in the red, the orange, the yellow, or the green?
The red.
Ooh.
Well, can I tell you why you're that way? Do you see his fists, how clenched they are?
Yeah.
He's probably saying something like, you better not be rude. You better not be mean to me. You have no right to call me that name. You see how demanding he is?
Yeah.
And when we have demands, we get disturbed. We get angry. Now, if you didn't have those thoughts and you just had, let's say, like towards the yellow or orange, you said, please don't call me the M word. Please, please, please don't call me that M word. Then you would just be sad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, imagine if you had kind of like the guy, the third guy, where his hands are like, I don't care. You see that guy? What do you think he's saying?
I don't care. You can just call me that name, whatever.
That's right. And now he's not going to be mad. He's not going to be sad. He's just going to be kind of whatever. He's not going to be affected. What do you think the guy in the green is thinking?
Happy?
That's right. Have you ever heard anyone call themselves a name or make fun of themselves?
I think so. Yeah.
Now, do you know Brad Williams?
Yeah.
Now, I notice that he makes fun of his height quite a bit. Have you ever seen him make jokes about himself?
Yeah.
What would you do if you found out your child was a little bit different? He wasn't going to be like all the other kids. What would you do? How would you react if you knew for a fact your son was guaranteed to be bullied when he got to school? Hopefully, you do what my dad did. He bullied me first. But he did it in a very awesome way. He would make fun of me, and he would tell me, like, all right, hit me back. Hit me back with something. That's what you're gonna do. Some kid's gonna come up to you. He's gonna make fun of you. What are you gonna do? You gonna cry about it? No, not my son. So he molded me. He trained me. He prepared me like Yoda and Luke Skywalker. The sizes were reversed, but you get the idea.
He's showing that when people call him names or they make fun of him or they point out his height, he has such a strong sense of humor. He can take a joke about himself and he could even make a joke about himself. But if he had this thought, if he thought, you better not make fun of me, you better not, he wouldn't be able to be laughing about himself. If he thought, please, please, please don't make fun of me, then he'd be crying all the time when people make fun of himself. But he has made a career out of not only letting people make jokes about him, but joking about himself. And that shows a sign of incredible emotional strength.
Now, it's very difficult to take a kid from mad to glad. I mean, that's unrealistic. When they're really mad about something that it should not, ought not, better not happen, but it did happen, to get them to glad takes, well, a cognitive process, a thinking process. Remember, it's our belief system that determines how we feel, so we have to work on their belief system by asking strategic questions. At this stage of the Raise 'Em Strong program, I introduced to Quaden a negative, neutral, positive coping question sequence that really helps him rethink the entire sad event.
Are you okay being your size?
Well, kind of. I don't really care, but I wish I could be taller.
How could your condition have been worse? Now, if I remember correctly, one of your surgeries, if it would have gone wrong, you wouldn't have use of your legs, right? You would have been kind of paralyzed, right?
Yeah.
But they did a pretty good job with that surgery, so you were able to run around
And walk.
and walk. Are you thankful for your ability to run and walk?
Yeah.
Me too. That's kind of one of the things that we have to focus on. You know what? I would like to be taller, but it could be worse. At least I can walk. At least I can run. I'm thankful for the movement and for the great doctors that have helped me and my mom who's advocated for me. When we focus on the things, you know, that we're blessed with, we feel less bad about it. Here's question number 2. Why won't being this size bother you forever? Do you think it's going to bother you forever? I should ask it that way.
Well, I wish I could stay a kid and not grow up and be a grown-up.
I wonder if being small will help you stay youthful and young. Do you think that'll help you as you get older? Being smaller will help you feel young?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's my third question. How could this small stature of yours, the fact that you have dwarfism, how could this turn out for your good? How could this be beneficial for you?
Well, the good thing is that I can still run around and play sports and dress myself, turn on the shower, and wash my body and do my hair.
Yes, that is good. Now, doesn't this make you unique? You are an Aboriginal and you have dwarfism. Doesn't that make you one of the most unique people on the entire planet? Doesn't that make you special?
Yeah.
It is our desire as parents to help our children see their value. They're fearfully and wonderfully made, that God made them in His image, that because of who they are, they don't have to be afraid of rejection from other people. They're accepted by their Creator. But you know, it takes a process to help a kid get there. The Raise Them Strong program has been created after 25 years of work. I'm a resilience educator with a PhD in social psychology. I've been hired by over 3,000 schools, spoke to over 2 million students. My online videos have been translated in 20 languages, amassed more than 300 million views. Why? Because what I teach, resilience education for bullying prevention, helps students turn their sad situation around. I want you to get your hands on the Raise Them Strong program. And when you do, you'll be able to empower your child to solve their social problems. Stay tuned to figure out how you can get your hands on the Raise Them Strong program.
Now, how can I incorporate this in my life as a parent?
Well, you need to use the content, right? You need to actually consume it and then practice. Every single week when you go through the training, you're going to get challenged as a parent to ask your child certain questions that will help them really discover, why am I so angry? Why am I so rigid? Why am I so upset? You know, don't focus on what happened to your child. Don't focus on how they feel. Focus on what they believe, because it's the truth that really sets our belief systems free. And that belief system gets so rigid, they get bent out of shape and they crush under pressure. And so if your child's crying, it's time to work the program.
You can access the Raise Them Strong program right now at raisethemstrong.com. This on-demand program is $24.99 a month and includes Dr. Brooks's video training for parents as well as students. You and your child will learn how to regulate emotions and solve social problems. It's mental health made easy. Used by thousands of parents and schools around the world, the Raise Them Strong program will help you and your child become more resilient. Join Raise Them Strong today and keep your child feeling strong.